I woke up this morning, and I'm shaving, and Malia knocks on my bathroom door, and she peeks in her head, and she says, did you plug the hole yet, Daddy? I grew up in Hawaii, where the ocean is sacred. And in case anybody wonders, in any of your reporting, in case you're wondering who's responsible, I take responsibility. It is my job to make sure that everything is done to shut this down.
Mama said there'll be days like this, there'll be days like this.
It was astonishing. It was astonishing, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Savage Nation. I've been in the radio business 16 years. I would say this is a pinnacle in the business because I've never seen a turnaround as I had seen today at the press conference about the oil spill. I saw the fifth estate become the fifth column become the fourth estate again. I was shocked. This man went in there thinking he still had them in the palm of his hand. After he just came back from a high out in the Getty mansion where he raised $17,600 for a plate of bad food for none other than the bagel boxer, and everyone worshipped him and got in their hands and knees. And there's the brain. Obama's brain is still in Israel, hiding in the Wailing Wall area somewhere. So he comes out today. He had to do the press conference. He's been hiding since last July. Didn't do a press conference since last July, but he knows that this issue, the Gulf oil spill, is his defining moment. I told you 2-3 weeks ago that this was his Katrina. I believe I was the first to say it. It doesn't matter who was. I believe I was. I may not have been, but I think I was, okay? Okay, it was his Katrina. He was ignoring it. And when I saw the left-wing worshipers of Obama slowly but surely starting to call in with outrage and write in outrage, even guys like Carville were shocked at the man's indifference to this, going to fundraisers, golfing, playing ball, basketball, anything but this. I said this could be his undoing. So he walks in there today, and this man never thought what happened today would happen to him. They have been kissing his behind from way before the election, and suddenly they knew that their credibility was on the line. And I got to take my hats off to the American media today, especially those who had the guts. I saw, by the way, that they were a little intimidated, as anybody would be. But when I saw the questions, and I heard them today, and I heard men who would normally kowtow to him, Jake Tapper, Chuck Todd, Steve Tomlin, Chip Reed, no longer a chocolate chip cookie, I couldn't believe what I was watching. When a guy like Chip Reed, who had become a minion of Obama a long time ago, suddenly shows he's no longer a cookie, you know something has finally happened. They know that their own credibility was at stake, and believe me, they came up to the bar. I take my hats off to all of them. Now, I got to tell you this. I watch the spectacle today. Am I interesting you at all with this? Because I know that there's listener burnout. There's news burnout across America, incidentally. Listen, I have my finger on the pulse of America. I have the best stethoscope in the industry, and I'm telling you the heartbeat of America is turning away from the news because people can't take the bad news every day. It is so bad. It is so daily. It's almost as though the administration wants bad news. They almost want to shock you out of watching. You understand this? And I know that many of you can't take it anymore, so I'm going to do this anyway because I think it's the most important story of my career. I don't know of another one that's as important as today's show. Because this was the first press conference that Obama had given in nearly a year, and the astonishing nature of it is worthy of discussion. And that is why I've named today's show From the Gulf to the GETTY'S. He rides on oily tracks. Here is the president who had just come from a fundraiser at the home of the Getty family, which is a dynasty whose wealth was built entirely on oil. Now, this would require a biographer on the order of Henri Troyat, who wrote Tolstoy's biography, to understand what I just said. He comes from a fundraiser at a mansion in San Francisco with a family that's never worked a day in their life, that made their whole inheritance was built upon oil. And now he comes and makes believe suddenly he's not beholden to oil, that he's different than Bush. And then he begins the press conference. And the first statement, he tries to pass the buck, blaming BP for the spill, even though it was his administration which was supposed to be overseeing the actions of BP. And then an amazing thing happened, as I said. The press, no longer the fifth column, starts hammering him with questions, real questions for the first time. And from the time Obama declared his candidacy through his nomination by the Demon Cats, in through his inauguration. Up until this day, this very day, the media has asked Obama nothing but softball questions. They've spent years fawning over him, kissing his hands, shining his shoes, giving him a pass on the questions that matter the most to the American people. But today, they attacked him like sharks. They asked him if he had reacted too slowly to the spill. They asked him how he could say everything possible is being done when Obama refused the help of foreign oil companies who offered to clean up the spill. They nailed him on the oil spill, asked him if it was his Katrina. They asked him why it's taking so long to stop. They asked him if it was fair to blame the Bush administration and if he, Obama, didn't really deserve the blame. And they didn't stop at the oil spill. Helen Thomas, who had not been awake in the last 200 years, was apparently taken out of the crypt, and he called upon her. He probably needed a break, and he knew she was a reliable left-wing radical who would give him something easy to go with, some laugh line or whatever. Instead, out of the crypt, Helen Thomas says, almost like The Shining, she says, when are you going to get out of Afghanistan? And don't give me any of your BS. Why are we continuing to kill and die there? He was shocked. And then Major Garrett of Fox News asked Obama if he offered Joe Sestak a job in exchange for dropping out of the Pennsylvania Senate race. We have all of these sound bites and more on the Savage Nation. I've never seen anything like this. Now, before you turn the station and go back to something inane and stupid, you got to understand something here. Although Obama tried to spin his way out of this press conference and was unsuccessful, the press has turned on him. I've never seen anything like it, as I said. He didn't do a very good job. This guy was dancing, he was dodging, but he wasn't winning. He couldn't use his normal charm, in other words. He had remember where he just came from. He just comes from a fundraiser in San Francisco filled with lunatic left-wingers, the worshipers of the worst senator in American history, Barbara Boxer. So he figures the whole world is like that audience of dolts in San Francisco. Uncritical, stupid, slavish worshipers. No. So then he figures, all right, it'll be tough, but I can do it because I've gotten this far. I can get through this. But no. I was shocked. One after the other. Bam, bang, boom, bing, bong, the bing, ba-bung. Now, I got to tell you this. Although Obama announced today that he's cutting off all oil drilling in the Gulf right now, you only got half the story. No, my friends. He's only cutting off American oil drilling in the Gulf of Mexico for now. Do you know how many other countries are drilling in the Gulf of Mexico? Well, here's tonight's cable news because I'm giving it to you right now in the Savage Nation. I'm going to name the foreign countries drilling in the Gulf of Mexico who are going to go happily to the Swiss banks with the amount of money they're going to make now that an American drilling company was put out of business by the Obama administration. No one is taking BP or the drillers off the hook. Don't get me wrong. But let me tell you something. There's something wrong with the picture that he bans drilling in the Gulf of Mexico with an American oil company who had this accident. And he certainly can't ban foreign drillers because he doesn't have power over the whole Gulf, right? Well, that's an excuse, isn't it? But as I told you before, Rahm Emanuel or David Axelrod was heard to have written or said, never let a crisis go unheeded. Always use a crisis to our advantage to aggrandize more power to the central government. And so now he's taking over the oil drilling industry. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't understand what this man is doing, if you don't understand the danger we are in from this adolescent president who is out of control, especially now that Obama's brain is at a bar mitzvah in Israel, I can't help you. But the minute I come back, I'm going to read the foreign countries still drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, which was conveniently left out of the speech. And then we're going to play the best questions and answers and discuss each of them here on the Savage Nation. So buckle your seatbelts. Get ready for the ride of your life. I'll be right back. It's the Savage Nation.
Savage.